Hello, my name is Lon Safko, co-author of the Social Media Bible, published by John Wiley & Sons, the most comprehensive book ever written on the subject of social media. And today we are here with Chris Pirillo, Geek, tech enthusiast, all-around cool guy. And we're going to be talking about community building, social media, and of course we're going to talk a lot about Chris Pirillo. So Chris, man, how cool is this from Seattle, having you here today? Thank you.
No problem. I mean, now thanks to the internet, anybody can communicate with anybody else, anywhere, anytime.
I've actually heard of the internet, and not only that, but the cool thing about this presentation is for your 360 or so viewers that are looking at your website right now, which I'm one of them. We're talking on the phone, digitally recording it, but at the same time, viewers from all over the world are actually watching this take place on ChrisPirillo.com live. How cool is that?
Well, that's another one of those things that I've kind of stumbled into. I mean, every year something new pops up onto my radar, and a couple of years ago it was the ability to live stream without really paying anything other than your ISP, so I figured, hey, why not?
That's totally cool. I love this because I'm watching you watch me, talk to you, talk to me. Usually about this, in the beginning of the interview, I'll just say, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? But I wanted to just, for the listeners, to get a full appreciation of who Chris Pirillo is, just kind of throw out a little bit of statistics. You've recorded over 1,000 videos in the past year. You cracked the top 100 most subscribed throughout the whole of YouTube. Your live stats are even more impressive. Over 5 million unique video viewers watched Chris do his thing in 2007, with a total of 2+ million live viewer hours, with an average viewing at 25 minutes per visitor. Holy moly, man. This past August, your live video feeds are recorded 279,000 viewer hours, with over 1 million viewers, 827,000 unique viewers, 395 average viewers, and 707 hours of live broadcasting. Holy mole. And in the first 7 days of launching your web community for geeks, you logged in 587,000 page views. This stuff is unbelievable. And here's one that's just totally cool because it's so simplistic. You are the #1 hit on Google for the word Chris. Now, how cool is all that?
Well, hopefully that particular statistic will hold true for the duration of my life. I don't know. There's only one place to head, and that's down after you're #1 Chris on Google. Although it hasn't happened yet, I'm praying that they never change their algorithms or another, more important Chris potentially comes along and usurps my position.
Well, that's pretty darn impressive, though. I mean, as a generic term as 4 letters, Chris. The only other person I had ever heard that happen to is I was interviewing Robert Scoble, and if you type in Robert, he is the official Google Robert. So you're the only two I know of.
Yeah, it took a while to get there, but he finally did.
Yeah, he finally did. Probably took some of your advice. Okay, well, again, this is where I usually just kind of ask for a bio and a background, but I can't ask this question any other way other than, who the heck is Chris Pirillo? I mean, wow, you're out there, man. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I turned a personality disorder into a career, as I've been prone to say. There's really no one thing that I do. I'm an omni-geek, or an uber geek, some might call me. Someone who's just always been attracted to technology, much like a bug may be attracted to a light hanging off of a porch in the middle of summer. And sometimes it works pretty well for me, and other times not so much. But I'm a content publisher. I help other people publish content, and now gotten more and more into producing and sharing my own video experiences, whether they're live or, of course, recorded on YouTube. The direction that I've been going is just largely just being myself. So enjoying talking about technology, enjoying sharing information, whether that's directly with people like myself, or if it's specifically in talking directly to companies, either on a sponsorship level or specifically consultancy.
Cool. And you talked about generating content, and really it's for the intent of building community. And based on my experience and interviewing all of the different people in the social media atmosphere, it keeps getting back to participating in a community of a trusted network of people that have something in common and kind of building credibility with your audience. Can you kind of just mention a little bit about the term community building?
It's ongoing, and whereas, when I started online, there really weren't a lot of tools to facilitate community building. You had to roll your own. Today, those tools are plentiful. There are plenty of ways that you can build community and draw people into the things that you're interested in and, help, build their interest and, their experiences with you. So it's, I'm sorry, there's another call seems to be coming in there. The whole hope in doing community building is that you feel less alone in this world. And no matter your background, the chances of some other people sharing similar interests or similar enough are pretty strong. It's the internet's a big place, and community ebbs and flows. But certainly the one thing that you're always going to have going for you is yourself. So as long as you're honest with yourself and with your friends and people that aren't yet your friends, the chances of you maintaining a level of integrity on an ongoing basis, no matter the tools, no matter where you're at, are pretty strong. So it's all about being honest and direct, and that really is not just so much in the area of community building. It's just more in being a good medicine in general.
And I've watched a lot of your videos, and I think the most important thing that comes across to me is your sincerity. I mean, you really believe in what you're doing, and you really are honest with yourself and with your audience.
Well, you can't talk about something if you don't know what you're talking about. I mean, when people do that, it's pretty obvious, that they're just either a hired gun, hired talent, or they just shouldn't be doing the things that they are supposedly doing.
And that's a really good point, because sincerity and knowledge really does come through. You can't hide that. How did you create such? I mean, I was looking at some of these statistics. How did you create such a huge following? How did so many people find you and become loyal to what you do?
Well, like I say, I'm an omni geek, so people come and opportunities come in a multitude of directions. And certainly, I started cultivating a lot of this back in 1992, but then officially, at least in a commercial capacity, in 1996. And from then, from that point forward, it was kind of an uphill battle because I was, really left to my own devices. Well, this is long before social networking was a word, and we had other services like Facebook and MySpace and Twitter and you name any one of those services that is, really there to help give anybody a voice to share with the rest of the world. Of course, that came then not long after blogging. I've surveyed the landscape of these services, and consistently, it's never. There's always something new to look at, mm-hmm. And so looking at all these resources and being able to leverage my own knowledge and passions against these resources to reach the same people or potentially new people is really kind of the key to, I think, any kind of success for community building. It's not just being there; it's really getting what the tool is and where it fits specifically in your modus operandi. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, I was doing all this stuff like before. I had started to work on a radio show as a host, and before I, had done a stint at Tech TV. Some people believe that I got my start at Tech TV, and they really don't know me at all, if that's the case. And it usually is. They seem to believe that everything came because of Tech TV, but no. Tech TV only happened because of everything that I was doing before then, including writing books, setting out newsletters, and doing community building a lot on my own.
So you're basically a 20-year overnight success.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not quite 20 yet.
Okay.
I just passed a decade.
Jeez, yeah, that's funny. I mean, people all of a sudden when you spring into the limelight, everybody thinks that it just happened overnight and don't realize that it takes a decade of more of building and working towards that goal. And
it's just like I'm going to be Well, I've been doing it, for a while now, a few months, working with CNN.com, doing a live, segment every week. I have carte blanche in terms of, the content for it, but I'm looking to involve myself a little deeper with CNN.com, the full-on website as a tech expert. And that only came about because of everything else that I was doing. Yeah. So it's like one thing builds on top of another, on top of another, on top of another.
Well, that's pretty cool to be involved with CNN, to be considered their tech expert. That's really awesome. How long have you been doing that?
Well, but there are people, there are certainly going to be people who say, oh, he got his start on CNN.com. I'm like, no, that's not how it goes.
That was just one step along the way. Now, I know our listeners can't see that really incredible pooch, but what's his name? I see a puppy.
The dog, Wicket.
Yeah, what's his name?
Wicket.
Wicket?
Yeah, like an Ewok.
Oh, okay. He's cool.
He really looked like an Ewok when he was a baby or puppy.
Yeah, he's got that little Ewok look and even going now for him, even now. That's cool. So in all your work, one of the things that I see for sure, I mean, one of the things that I teach in marketing is it always has to have a what's in it for me value from the viewer, from the customer's perspective. And in addition to this techie stuff, which has a tremendous value, isn't a lot of what you do too has an entertainment value?
Oh, of course. I mean, if something couldn't be entertaining, why would anybody watch it? I mean, yeah, it can be informational and entertaining at the same time. I approached, the classroom much the same way when at least when I was student teaching, and, I'm no longer, really I'm a teacher by degree, but, never actually became one in any kind of school much beyond my education for becoming a teacher. But I believe it's extremely important. I mean, this is the thing, even if I've got my live stream going and nothing's going on and all people are doing is staring at the back of my head or listening to whatever I'm listening to or whatever,
right,
then at least I've got a chat room that's integrated with the experience. So even if I can't be entertaining, well, maybe they can be informative.
Good point. And speaking of being entertaining, as you know, I travel around the country way too much, 100 cities last year. I was looking through your videos, and I found something that listeners really need to know about if they fly, and that's your new flight safety instructional video. That was very helpful, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it's the airline safety instructions. That was the first video I uploaded to YouTube, and it made it to the front page of YouTube.
Did it really?
A little wacky. It was the first one that I uploaded. It made it to the front. No, I mean, it was 3 months into it, but it made it to the front page. Kind of funny. I've been recording videos since I could. Back on, I used to record videos. I'm pretty sure the Sony Mavica series, at least the later series, could actually record videos onto a floppy disk.
Wow,
I did that.
That is quite a while for doing video.
If it didn't do it on the Mavica, then I know it did on an earlier version of their digital cameras, and I was like, oh, wow, I can record videos. This is so cool. Of course, they were postage stamp size, but I still did it.
Yeah.
Every week. I've been doing it for a long time.
And the rest is history. Now, you're into video. There's no doubt about that, and your streaming video is really cool. I had a chance, if you're familiar with Jody Gannant, who was a live caster and involved in the One Red Paperclip. And she was telling me how stressful it is to do this 24/7 live casting. And I saw one of your videos this morning. Can you tell us a little bit about your streaming, your live casting, and is your wife, Ponzi, really fed up with it?
In respect to live streaming, I seldom move the camera. I mean, like, I've now started to take since I work out, I've got a little, it's called a Gazelle. It's in the other room, and I usually play the Xbox 360. I've just started to bring my laptop in there, and then I switch the stream over to that. But usually I only keep one camera on, and I can leave the room at any time and not feel, obligated to take the camera with me. And because of that, I've set up, that particular boundary. Some people violate that boundary, whether they, share personal information about myself that I would rather not have shared, like a phone number or what have you, or anything like that. But for the most part, I'm in control. Ponzi's got, I know she's appreciative of it in the sense that she can now keep an eye on me throughout the day. Hey, what wife would not want that?
Good point.
But at the same time, it's not her thing. So I don't really know how to answer that question. Hopefully, I did not successfully dodge it.
No, that was fine. I was just looking at your video this morning where you said that your wife and you had gotten into a big fight and she didn't want any more streaming. And then, of course, the most logical thing to do next is just get up and dance. So
that was the April Fool's Day joke. Oh, you got Rickrolled. That was a Rickroll April Fool's Day joke this year.
Ah, that's what it was. Okay, because then I got scared, of course, and went over to your live stream, and, of course, we're still live streaming.
People still watch that now and say, "Oh, he quit live streaming. I'm look at the date."
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that was a good one. I had quite a few people going. They couldn't believe that. Chris is stopping live streaming. What? What's going on?
Well, you caught me this morning too. I had to run over to your live stream to make sure you were still there. And
I've been busy with a few other things, but I knew that I wanted to connect with you on this stuff.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things, too, that was interesting, you had said about you still maintain a certain level of privacy, where Jody basically did not. And she said that how does she put it? It significantly cut into her personal life, so to speak.
Yeah. I would not have gone as far as Jody did, that's for sure.
Yeah. But you still have that following. I noticed this morning when I logged on, your studio was completely dark, and you still had 323 viewers.
That's completely dark. Oh, the room, yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't awake yet.
I mean, that's totally cool, though. I mean, people are waiting for you, man. You got an avid fan group.
Well, it's easy to, have on in the background. We've got desktop widgets for Linux and Mac OS X and Windows, so people just keep a widget of my live video feed going.
Yeah, that makes sense. That way it's not disruptive, and we can see what you're up to. Now, also, one of the things that
people feel not alone.
Not alone. Yeah, and you know what? That's one of the things that Jody said, is that there was one person that came out of a coma and started to watch her, and it touched this person in such a way that it actually gave him a will to live, because he was participating in her life, and he actually got better. And she said that was one of the most emotional moments that she has ever had, because of the way people really relate to...
Yeah, she told me about that, and I'd be a little creeped out.
Yeah, as long as he isn't stalking her, I guess.
Save my life by live streaming, I'd be like, whoa, dude, like, you need a better one then, because that life's not much of one.
Well, when you're in a coma, you really don't have much. So,
right.
Yeah,
true.
That's for sure. But with that following that you built up, I mean, this tremendous following, you also got some pretty good sponsors following you: Microsoft, Google, Yahoo, GoDaddy, GoToMeeting, PayPal. Is that true? I mean, is that how you make some of your money? Do you actually have sponsors?
Yep, absolutely. It's all about sponsorship and those kind of partnerships. And certainly other things have come from it as well. Whether it's a review copy of something, or an eval unit, and just things that I like to surround myself with. That's just the direction that I've gone. So that kind of stuff follows me. Certainly, sponsors have been extremely supportive in the things that I try to do, and that's not an uphill battle necessarily. But since my model is usually a little different, I have to kind of ride the cusp between what they're used to and what I think the next step is going to be. And it usually works out pretty well.
And that's pretty cool, because these are Fortune 500 companies that aren't really known for being innovative. And for a company like Microsoft to sponsor somebody who travels around talking about building community and live casting, I would think that that's a difficult sell, unless, of course, you do have that following, which you do.
Well, yeah, that's a big deal. It's a huge deal. And, we continue to work with those a lot of those companies, many of those companies, on a lot of the efforts. Including our conference brand that we've been doing for the past, now 9 years.
For 9 years?
Yes.
Wow.
Going on 9 years. Yep.
So, and that's what the next question was, is that did the sponsors actually encourage and sponsor you to go out and to talk about community building and Chris Pirillo and their product?
No, not so much. It's usually I come up with a wacky idea that works, and then find a way to underwrite it with a sponsor, and that's how it goes. I've never really been asked to go out and speak on community building by any one of those companies. I certainly welcome it.
Yeah.
Just I've never had the opportunity. It's kind of how my career path has gone. Is another opportunity will come up, and do I have the time? Is it something that I'm interested in? Will it be fun? Yeah. Okay, well then I'll give it a shot. That's usually how it happens.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's the way I like in my career as well. I always say that God has a sense of humor, because I graduated with an engineering degree, and I've been doing marketing and high tech my whole career, which is not what I trained for. And a few years ago, I wrote a book called Life is But a Dream, and the metaphor is that you're in a rowboat. Now, you can try to row up against the current if you want, but best case scenario, you're going to stay in the same place. So just take what life has to give you and follow the current, and you'd be surprised and pleased where you end up.
Yeah, kind of the hope and dream.
Well, I bet you 10 years ago you never guessed that you'd be where you're doing what you're doing today.
No way. No. Every year I'm always surprised at what's coming up for the next year.
Yeah.
Always.
Now, you also mentioned that you get a chance to try out products and stuff, and I noticed on your website, I don't want to call it an obsession, but there was an inordinate amount of references to coupons. Can you tell me a little bit about coupons?
Sure. I love saving money, and more importantly, I love helping other people save money, which I've done over and over and over and over and over again. And everybody loves to find a good coupon, and so now people email me and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying product X. Do you have a coupon for it?" And I go find one, and then instead of just sharing it with them, I share it with the rest of the world.
What a great idea!
So because of that, I'm able to kind of close that loop between myself and the community, and also create a value add, for everybody else. So yeah, I like we like posting a lot of coupons on the blog, and then coupons.lockergnome.com I think is the place where you can generate your own feed for it.
That's really cool. And yeah, who doesn't like to save money? And again, that's one of those things where you never would have guessed, but it just kind of sprung up out of a need. What is the Locker Gnome? Was that your first website back in the early 90s?
Pretty much. Locker Gnome is what started it all, lockergnome.com, and that's still around. It's now, trying to build it into a blog network and community and beyond, but unfortunately a lot of the platform choices out there are, really limiting. I've tried a lot, but unfortunately either they're really, really expensive or, really, really impossible to work with.
Yeah.
So I try to find the sweet spot in the middle so that I can give people a voice and give them a chance to get paid for what they know by blogging.
That's a really good line that you just added on the end of there. Getting paid for what they know. Too many of us just give away our information for free because of our passion for the subject. Yeah,
there's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah, that's a really good point. If somebody came up to you, and because that's what this book is about, is to learn more about how to get started with all of this. If they came up to you and asked for advice, how do you start building community? Now, Robert Scoble and Chris Hewer and some of the others told me that one of the most important things is to pay attention to the community first. Don't just jump out with both feet and start blabbing your lips. Pay attention, and then when you become a little bit more comfortable with how the dialogue goes, then participate. And participation was really a key word. What kind of advice would you give to people who want to actually build their community?
I think that, by the way, that assessment was pretty accurate. I always believe that the best community tools can't be written. It's what's in your head, what's in your heart, what's in your soul. It's your passion. And if you don't have any of those things, or maybe some of those things, but not all those things, then don't even try to build a community because it won't work. And that's where most communities just kind of fall flat. It's less about the software that you choose and more about how you go about engaging the community. And then of course there's also the glut of communities that may already be out there. For instance, if someone were to come along and say, "Hey, I'm launching a technology community," I'd be like, "Okay,
good luck."
Oh, there's a group of people that just has not been served by the internet. It's like they've got these grand visions for something that's just ultimately going to fall flat. Not just in traffic, but just in everything, unless they've got some extreme value add or partnerships on board or ability to drive traffic. It's going to be an uphill battle for them. Know your subject matter. Be an SME, subject matter expert.
So so you were talking about you have to be a subject matter expert, and you also talked about partnering. You'd mentioned partnering. What kind of partnering would you recommend to somebody?
Well, it's looking at your own assets and what you can do with what's around you, but it's also looking at what other people can do or have been doing, and then matching or making sure your interests align with theirs or in a complementary fashion. For instance, wow, it would be great to be able to stream my life online. Well, I've got to wait for a service. Oh, hey, there's a service, but I really like using the service. I'm a power user. I need more, and then pretty soon, before I know it, I'm a top producer for Ustream, and I also sit on their board, and that only came about because of my passions and my feedback for the particular platform. That's not exactly a partnership per se, but it just shows a symbiotic relationship where in any kind of relationship you always want to give 110%, and ultimately then it will be happy. But a good partnership is less likely to come about if you have exactly what somebody else has. You want to find someone who has what you need and that you have what they need, and that's usually where a partnership or a good partnership forms.
And that's a really good point, too. When I do my presentations, I talk a lot about marketing, and when I look for strategic partners, what I tell the people is look for complementing, non-competing. I think that's the easiest way to see it. And in the case of Ustream, I think that really is a partnership. I mean, if you can sit on their board and you can drive traffic to their website and awareness, that is really complementing, not competing relationship.
Yeah. I'd like to believe so.
For sure. Now, using community building, can you think of any company business example success stories that you can share with us that people have done? I mean, you obviously are a success story, but can you think of some others?
I wouldn't call myself a success story, but I'm success. Oh, Maya Angelou had a great quote on success. Success, what was it? Something along the lines of success is liking what you do, and it goes on. It's something like that. Success is liking what you do, and I'm going to leave it there because it works perfectly. In terms of a successful company that I think has engaged the community in ways that other companies haven't, Microsoft, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
I used them as an example earlier of not really being on the cutting edge. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, they've allowed a lot of their employees to, open up and be as transparent as, possible in the blogosphere. There are a lot of people who work for Microsoft who have their own blogs, and, they work for Microsoft. And it's really cool. You don't see that, you certainly don't see that from people who work at Apple. You hardly see it from people who work at Google. It's that, they didn't make it a policy that everybody has to blog, but, they let it be known that, be transparent. If you want to do it, you can do it. And I think that, I think it's been successful in the sense that these are people who care about the things they do for the company they work for. And on several occasions, I've been able to get in touch with, product managers or product groups because of the fact they were blogging. They happened to read my blog, and then they responded in their blog. I mean, it was just a dynamic interchange of information and relationships. And I think Microsoft is the exception in this capacity, and it should be the rule.
I'm really glad you pointed that out because I really wasn't completely conscious of that. But, you're absolutely right. Most of the companies that I speak to around the country are terrified of social media. They
Right.
consider it chaos. And is somebody going to say something wrong? Are they going to say something litigious or off-brand? It's going to knock their brand off. And, of course, my comment is that, you can either have chaos or you can have controlled chaos. And that just means, set up some basic policies. But it's going to happen with or without your permission. So stop fighting it and embrace it. And you're right, Microsoft does, and I guess that attitude is really what kind of launched Robert Scoble.
Scoble was, I guess, in that sense, more of a pioneer. Robert had been doing this, at least all the way back to 2001, and I met Robert back in the late 90s. He kind of was doing it in an unofficial way, mm-hmm. and then inadvertently became the unofficial, official blogosphere spokesperson for Microsoft because of his efforts. And then, of course, you had other pioneers, Channel 9 launched by Len Pryor, Jeff Sandquist, and then Robert Scoble as well. As well as other individuals, but I just know those people personally. And Channel 9 was a chance for Microsoft-centric developers to find out what's going on, to network with one another, and just building a community. And they are certainly, like I said, a rare exception. That everything that they did there was absolutely organic, and it's really depressing when I see other large entities launch these pseudo communities, and they're nothing like communities at all. It's really kind of sad.
Yeah, they just don't get it.
Right, because they've got an agenda, and everybody's got an agenda, but it's that you need the mind, the heart, the soul, the passion. You need all these things, and if something's contrived, if something's not organic, it's a little off.
Yeah, and you can sense it.
Not quite right.
That's a really good point. A close friend of mine, Mark Dixon, works for Sun Microsystems, and he's been blogging for years. Matter of fact, he was the first person who's introduced me to blogging. And his company, and I was shocked that a company the size of Sun Microsystems would allow him to do it. And he told me a story not that long ago that he was at a huge, very important meeting with a client, and the CEO himself from Sun Microsystems came out, and when they both walked into the room for the very first time, the CEO walked over to Mark and shook his hand, recognized him from his blog, and told him to keep up the good work. And
nice.
Yeah, isn't that sweet? I mean, from the chief executive officer of a Fortune 500 company to pat you on the back. But yeah, because the thing about Mark Dixon is he's completely sincere and passionate about Sun Microsystems and what they do.
It's important.
Yep.
Of course, even as an independent, you always get accused of towing the company line or being a shill or a sellout. That's the problem. I'll get excited about something because I think it's cool, and then everybody asks questions. Questions that they start questioning my integrity, and that's one thing I just will not stand for or sit for. I won't. I can't abide by that. Don't question my integrity.
Well, absolutely, and I'm shocked that anybody would do that after watching even just a couple of your videos.
Yeah, some people are just jerks, online or offline.
That's true. No matter what group, there's always one in there. So what else, just to kind of conclude here, because I don't want to take up any more of your time, although it's been awesome. What else can you say? I mean, how can you summarize community building and what you do and kind of advise people who want to get involved, small businesses, entrepreneurs, how to build their own community? Just to summarize.
Start with what you know. Start with what you care about. And if you're curious as to, what do you do first? Well, ultimately, you're going to be skilled hopefully you're going to be skilled in one particular area. Are you good at writing? Are you good at talking? Are you good at presenting? Are you good at, representing or, like making art? How do you choose to communicate with the world? Where do you excel? And maybe you excel at many of those things, but, let's just say conservatively, you're only good at one. We'll start that way. You can write really well? Fine. Start writing. Start engaging in that capacity. Start making connections for people. Start pontificating. Don't regurgitate. I mean, it's all of these things. Ultimately, you need to build a personality for yourself so that even if, and I get this all the time, people come up to me, at like a conference and they say, "Hey, Chris, I'm sorry, I haven't read your blog in a while, but I wanted to ask you." And my immediate reaction is like, "Well, duh, you don't read my blog." The internet's a big place, and what kind of ego would I have to assume that everybody looks at what I do, or just because you know me means that you've looked at everything that I've done. It's more they know of me, and that's sufficient in this day and age where brand has become increasingly distributed. They know of me, and that's always going to trump the number of impressions I might get in the blog or number of viewers I might have tuning into a live video feed. It's the knowledge that people have knowledge of me.
Well, you've built both a brand and a good reputation.
I've tried.
Well, I think so. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Share of ups and downs, let me tell you. I'm still breaking eggs and making omelets.
Yeah, you sound like an egg breaker, no doubt.
I am. I absolutely am.
So if our listeners want to find out more about some of the crazy stuff that you are doing, where's the best place for them to look for you?
Google. Just Google Chris.
Just Google Chris. 4 simple letters.
And And there may come a time where I slip to number 2, or heaven forbid number 3, in which case I don't know what I would do with myself. I would go on a link building campaign if I slipped to number 2. I say, okay, everybody, go get a blog and link back to me, please, right now.
Well,
I don't know if I could necessarily pay for that, but I'd probably give prizes away or something to get back to number 1, because that's let me tell you, that's probably the thing that makes sense to a lot of people. Or when I tell them I have, it's a little over 40,000 subscribers on YouTube right now, and I've been pushing for that, of course. There's a lot more and more people and companies coming online to YouTube, so that space is getting competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, it always has been competitive, but they're giving you more and more tools to kind of build community, as time goes on. There. So I'm on YouTube, but just Google Chris, you'll find me.
Okay, well, if you start to slip, let me know, and I will do my best to help you get back on top.
Thanks, Lon.
This is great. I'd really like to thank Chris Pirillo, both Geek and Tech Enthusiast, for being with us here today and talking about community building and social media, and most importantly about Chris. So, Chris, awesome. Thank you so very much.
Oh, thank you, Lon.
This is cool. This has been Lon Safko, the co-author of the Social Media Bible. Be sure to check out our other valuable social media tactics, tools, and strategies that can be found in the Social Media Bible book and its companion website, www.thesocialmediabible.com. For more information about me, Lon Safko, please go on over and visit my website at www.lonsafko.com. And Chris, truly, this has been a heck of a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
No problem.